Hi y'all, this is Regina. Welcome back to Regina's Crafting and More. I am getting ready to stitch a gnome Valentine's mug rug. So let me turn the camera around and we'll get started. Alright, color stock number 1. Now I will tell you, this is the 5x7 hoop. It's done in the 5x7, and I'm always experimenting, so I've put in some no-show stabilizer. You know, I never pull the tearaway off or anything, no cutaway. So I'm just going to use the no-show stabilizer. Color stock number 1 is going to stitch a placement, and if you're using a large enough piece of batting, you don't even need to stitch color stock number 1. If you're really scrimped on the size of the batting that you, maybe a batting scrap that you have, you can stitch it. I'm going to go ahead and stitch color stock number 1. And it just really takes up the whole hoop. So, as long as you're overlapping onto your hoop, you shouldn't have to worry about this placement stitch, which is what it is. Pink is always placement, blue is a tack down. We'll stop. I knew as soon as it was stitching. Let me back up. I should have put this on the other way. Okay, I gotta back up.
Good morning. That's right. The winds finally subsiding. Humidity is rising, giving firefighters here a much-needed break and giving a chance for crews like this to begin restoring services in these devastated communities, but also
and hope that doesn't mess me up. Did I lose my thread? Yep. Should have turned that around the other way. It's early in the morning, and I wasn't even thinking about that, and should have been. Hope that doesn't mess me up. Oops, didn't thread. I swear. Okay, it's really early in the morning. Let's thread that needle. And I have an oversized piece of batting. And I'm just going to center it on my hoop, and I'm going to stitch it down. I hope I'm not out of bobbin. I didn't even check that. And I must be, because it's not catching. Hang on. Okay, had to redo my bobbin. Now let's tack down this batting. Backed up too far. I'm having a really good morning. It's very early. Alright, so there we go. So I've got good overlap on my batting. Okay, color stop number 3 is going to stitch a placement for your center fabric, because this is going to have side panels. So you'll need to stitch that. And make sure you have your fabric pretty side up if you're using a tone-on-tone white. Alright, so you want to center your center fabric on here, overlapping your seams that have stitched. Okay. I hope I've got it. I've got plenty on that side, and I've got plenty on that side. And I need to go that way a little bit.
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances. You can't answer that question.
Alright, color stop number 4 is going to tack my center fabric down. Now the center fabric is, let me tell you, alright, your batting is 9 inches, or 9 inches by 6.5 inches. And your centerpiece is 6.5 inches by 5.5. And your side panels are 2.25 by 5.5. So I have my side panels now, because that's what we're going to start on, and it's going to start here. Your placement stitch is color stop 5, and you want to stitch that. It actually is going to stitch right along the center panel line, and you want to put your panel down, pretty sides down, with the right edge aligned with that stitch that was just stitched. Okay? And color stop number 6 is going to create your seam. Just hold it in place. And it tacks it down well. I actually just told it to stitch twice, so. Alright, color stop 7 is going to stitch your placement stitch on this side. And you're going to take your piece and line it up. You want to put your fabric in the center of the main fabric and line it up with that stitch that just stitched, overlapping both sides over here. And stitch color stop 8, which is your tack down. And that creates your 1/4 inch seam. Alright, so before you do anything with color stop 9, you want to fold your fabrics, your side panels over, and press them. You can use a fabric folding pin to make that stitch down really well, or just use your fingernail. Okay, since my fabric folding pin is at my other machine, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to tack that down. Alright, color stop number 9 is going to stitch all the way down, all the way around, to hold those pieces down. So keep an eye when it comes back this way that it doesn't grab this little seam. You could put some tape on it, but I'm just going to hold it down with a chopstick. Alright, so we're going to stitch color stop number 9. You really don't have to worry too much. Well, right here at the very beginning, just hold that, there you go, and then smooth this back. And you're going to want to hold this piece down so it doesn't get caught on the foot. Color stop number 10 is going to stitch the decorative fill. You don't have to stitch it if you don't want to. If you don't want those little hearts on your side panels and on your center panel right here, you don't have to stitch it. It's not separated. And now that I think about it, I could separate it. And then this could just be stitched, and you wouldn't have to stitch your side panels. Let me go do that real quick. Alright, so I've made a change to it. I'm going to say none of us want to stitch on top of our pretty side panels. So I've made it so it only stitches the decorative stitching, the decorative hearts in this side panel. So I'm going to stitch that. But I want a lighter pink. Alright, so one thing you need to realize about the decorative stitching is that, can you see that? It stitches over, and it's not our control. We draw or digitize one line, but the machine stitches over it a couple of times. So as a result, whatever color thread you use gets darker. So I had this, and I lightened it up some. I'm going to use this, because I don't want it in your face, you know, color to just detract from the gnome, but I want it to be able to be seen. So I'm just going to lighten that thread up a little bit. Alright, so here we go. So it just does the hearts here in the center. Now, this design is going to be on here vertically. So the hearts are vertically. Usually the design goes this way, but I've turned it this way. And I'll be back. It'll take this a little bit to stitch. Okay. It's finished stitching the decorative fill in the back, and now it's time to start stitching the actual design, the actual gnome. Alright, so now it is time for his shoes. So you can do the shoes any color you want. You could do them in red if you wanted, or blue, or green, I don't know. But I'm going to do them in a really dark gray. I'm going to do his gloves that way too. They are a separate color right after the shoes, so you can either stitch them with the color that you stitched the shoes, or you can choose a different color for the gloves, which is the next color stop. So color stop 11 is going to stitch his shoes. Alright, so his shoes are finished and now it's going to his gloves. You can use whatever color you want. I'm just going to use the same color that I did with his shoes. And I'll be back when this is finished. Alright, so his hands are done. The next color stop is his beard, and I'm going to do it in silver or really light gray. You can do it in white. I had it as white, but I decided it needed a little bit of color. But you could choose white if you wanted. And it has a pattern in it. Kind of like his beard's kind of blowing in the wind. Okay, what happened here? There we go. Alright, so this, like I said, will stitch his beard. And I'm going to get that thread out of there. So the stitching time on this, my machine, this is the Bellissimo, Baby Like Bellissimo, and it says it takes 22 minutes stitching time to do the whole design. I'm sorry, 40 minutes to do the whole design. We're on color stop 13. And I'll be back when this is done. Alright, so I'm letting you see this. It's not quite finished, but I should have used even a lighter color on the beard than I did. I thought I had a light enough color, but it's a little dark gray. He's a young gnome. Alright. His beard's finished. Now it's time to stitch the pink hearts in his hat. And I picked a very bright pink to do the stitching of these stripes. Okay. Something screwy again. Alright. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's 7 stripes, I believe. I think I counted that right. So it'll do all the pink stripes. And I'm trying to figure out. I think the heart comes after the pink stripes. The heart on the tip of his hat. And I'll be back. Alright, so I've stitched the stripes in his hat, and now it wants to do the heart at the top of his hat, and I'm just going to use the same pink. It's as a different color in case you wanted to change it maybe to red or purple or green or whatever. So I'm just going to stitch it the same color that I used here because there will be red separating it. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is his nose. I want to do it lighter. Hang on. Alright, I picked up a little bit lighter pink to do his nose, which is what color stop 15 is, his nose. Now if you wanted to do it in the same pink that you just stitched the stripes, you could do it. But I decided to make it a little bit lighter. Alright, so that was a good choice. Alright, this next color stop 16 is going to stitch the red stripes in his hat. Let me change threads, I'll be back. Alright, so you will notice when you stitch the pink, there were no cuts between the stripes. I was able to connect them, but that's not going to be so on the red. So you're going to have some trims each time you do a stripe. It will cut. You shouldn't, unless your machine just doesn't stitch. Gotta get that thread out of there. Unless your machine doesn't cut the jump stitches, you shouldn't have any actual jumps. It should trim. Okay, come on. There we go. It should trim. So if you have an option where you can turn off the jump stitches, I would turn that off. Because you have quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 7 stripes that are going to stitch in the red. And I'll be back. Alright, so we're stitching the red stripes. Now, I did go in and make some changes to these red stripes after stitching these two. And it should do better. It was jumping in the middle here instead of ending here and coming up and starting the next. And I made a little bit of minor changes to the stripes. I'll be back. Alright, the red stripes have finished. And I see a couple of more adjustments that I need to make. Nothing major. And the next color stop is for the letter I. It is in red, but I'm going to change my red and use a different red color. Alright, so I've changed my red color to a little lighter red to do the I. The letter I. And I'll be back when it's done. Alright, so it did this I, and it's jumped up here. I wanted you to see it's going to go up here and stitch the word love. And we use the same kind of thread. Now, if you want to change the thread color, just stop your machine and stitch love in whatever color you want. But it is connected to, it's the same color stop as the I. Alright, so we stitched the word love, I love. Now it's going to stitch the heart on top of the hat. And I've put in this bright pink. And it's just a little hard, it won't take long. And that's color stop 18. Now color stop 19 is going to stitch the text here, Y-O-U. And I have it as a different color in case you want to change the color of the text from a different, I have it as a different pink to red or purple, whatever. Alright, so I'm just going to let it color stop. That was color stop 18. Color stop 19 is going to come here and stitch the text Y-O-U, and I'm just going to let it stitch in the same color. All right, and we're done. with the embroidery so far. All right, so the next step is to lay your 2 pieces of 9.5 by 5.5, I think it is, fabric that you've folded in half, okay, and we're going to overlap them in the center with the folded edge. Okay, you want to make sure that you're on the outside of the stitch line down here, and you have plenty of overlap here, and that you're on the outside of the stitch line over here. And I'm just going to move it down a little bit to overlap some more. I'll center these. Okay. So I've overlapped in the center. I think I'm going to move these overlaps like this. Line that up. Alright, now this is where you have to be careful. Maybe not. I've overlapped enough. Alright, so I'm just going to leave the same thread that I have in. This is going to create your backing pieces. It's the envelope style for the backing. I'm just making sure that I'm overlapped enough up here at the top. Move it over just a tad. And you can see your stitch lines. This piece is bigger. I cut it from a different piece of fabric, so I'm not worried about that. Alright, so I have my pink thread in. Well, maybe not. Let me grab it and rethread it. All that messing around's pulled it out. Alright, and we're going to stitch color stop number 20, and it's going to tack this down. I'm just gently holding it in place. See, if you do it this way, you don't have to worry about it flipping up that edge. You do have to worry about it here, so be careful. Alright, so that tacked it down. The next color stop is going to do a triple stitch all the way around just to secure it, because you're going to be turning it in and out, and using your seam thing to straighten the seam out. So you don't want it to come loose, so we're going to stitch a triple stitch. And once again, we're going to have to hold this down unless I get my my tape. Hang on. Alright, so I'm putting some of that 3M medical paper tape on this seam so it doesn't get flipped up. I don't have to worry about it here. And I'll be back. Alright, so now we're finished stitching. We've got to trim our fabric, our mug rug. Alright, so we're going to unhoop this. So everything inside. Get a ruler and my cutter. And we want to trim 1/4 inch from that last stitch line, which is just barely. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. Let me hold it up. So this line is the last stitch line. This is the one that tacked everything down. This is the triple stitch. We want to cut 1/4 inch away from that. So I'm just going to put my 1/4 inch mark on that seam line and trim. Alright. And then we're going to do the same thing all the way around. Line up 1/4 inch here, try to find a straight, do a straight line down here, and you'll get your mud rug square, or rectangle as it is. Alright. One last seam to trim, line it up, and trim. Whoops, didn't go far enough with that one. Or with this one. Alright, so we're going to take and round these edges off. I'm just going to go around. Okay, and now we turn it inside out. Poke your corners out with your thumb or your finger. There we go. And then do the same thing on the other side. Come all the way around. Poke that out. Push everything out. Push, pull, whatever. Alright, so let me get my point turner. Alright, so I'm going to take my point turner and just go around those corners. Be careful and don't poke a hole. You do want to try to get it kind of rounded. Okay, now, I take and I roll my front to the back with my fingers, pushing that seam towards the back. Straighten it out. If you like the way it looks, take it to your pressing station. I'm just going to push this just a little bit more around. Alright, so let me go press it. I'll be right back. And there we go, all pressed. Just roll your seams back with your thumbs and your fingers. Just roll it towards the back. Okay, and that gives you, whoops, a nice finished front. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget, post a picture in the group. Let's see what you're doing. Thank you. Bye.